Hi everyone, Roland here. Welcome to episode 12 of Chickasha To Go. Now let me warn you, this episode will be a little longer than usual due to the fact that special use permit talk is pretty extensive, so let's get right on to it. First off, at the City Council meeting, they unanimously approved a lot of contracts and bids, such as with the Verdon Vet Clinic, with the sports complex, as well as engineering services, Chickasha Lake Dam, and drainage repair, a lot of which I talked about last week's episode. All unanimously approved. Now, some notable items talked about at the meeting was an executive session held to discuss potential business incentives. A motion was made to allow the possibility of a sales tax incentive for an incoming business. Although the business and negotiation details are not yet public, I can tell you that the possibility is there for a sales tax rebate agreement. Now, this is not a sales tax increase. What this would do is take the existing sales tax and a developer would get a portion of the sales tax to develop in Chickasha. It's similar to a TIF, which is another program that some developers utilize here as an incentive to bring them here to build and to benefit from the increased sales tax revenue. This did pass by a majority vote. Another thing talked about at the meeting was a special use permits amendment that was passed by a majority vote. A lot of citizens are asking, what is this? What does it do? Well, basically it loosens up the code by creating allowable zoning uses that previously were not allowed due to being removed. Let me explain further. The current code, without the amendment, has had wordage that suggests that plot plans required for permits are always required. The new wordage suggests that plot plans are only required if requested. The language in the current plan is unclear regarding building residential properties in commercial areas. The language with the amendment specifies that residential and commercial must be above ground floor. Likewise, using property for purposes not permitted in zoning code is currently not allowed, whereas the amendment would allow some alterations in the zoning code with the appropriate permit. So overall, the city manager says that it loosens some of the current restrictions. So let me explain a little further just to understand it better. Look at Chickasha's zoning codes, as you can see up here. Basically, it talks about the agricultural district all the way down to the heavy industrial district. As you go down through the zoning codes, it gets less and less restrictive. What used to be the case, no longer the case, we used to have what's called right by use in the old zoning laws. This meant that, for example, a single family residential district, an R1, if it was reclassified as a C1, a local commercial district, the C1 would have all the privileges of the codes above it, meaning that a local commercial district could build a residential property. Now, a couple years back, we had a new zoning changes, which is what's currently active, which is called a no right by use. This means that you can't do that anymore. You can't build a residential house in a commercial area. So what this amendment does is it creates what's called a use by permit. Okay, so this would change the current zoning and would once again allow this person to build a residential property or residential house in a commercial area, but this time it would require a permit. It's not granted automatically. Okay, so if you look here, right here in the coding, this is what are the allowable special uses and conditions based upon the most requested applications and requests to the city over the last couple of years. So there's a lot here, that can be requested for special uses. So let me give you some examples to clear it up a little bit. For example, if you're a church that wants to build in a large commercial district, you currently can't do that. The special use permits would allow you to ask for a permit to do that. Likewise, if you're a family who wants to reside on the second floor of a commercial building, you now have a permit where you can apply for that, as well as a bed and breakfast wanting to operate in a larger residential district, an in-home childcare business of less than 10 children wanting to operate in a residential area, or wind turbines wanting to build in agricultural land or commercial districts, all allowable by this special use permits, not currently allowable under the regular zoning law we have now. So, in summary, the coding re-allows citizens to use their property in ways that are not normally allowed by the current code as it stands. The use of permits allows the Planning Commission and the City Council to have oversight over this, but it does not set precedence because it's a permit and not a code. Just because it's granted once doesn't mean it has to be granted every single time it is requested. So hopefully that clears it up a little bit. If you have questions, comments, or corrections, feel free to email me at oklahomatogo@gmail.com. Have a great day, everyone.